Strict parenting often begins with the intention of protecting children, teaching discipline, or preparing them for life responsibly. Many parents believe strong control, rigid rules, and constant monitoring will prevent mistakes and harmful behavior from developing. On the surface, strict parenting may appear effective because children often become obedient and cautious externally. But beneath that obedience, many children quietly learn fear instead of trust within the parent-child relationship emotionally. Children naturally need guidance, boundaries, and structure while growing up. Healthy discipline teaches responsibility while still allowing emotional safety, communication, and trust to develop naturally over time. The problem begins when parenting becomes dominated by control, punishment, criticism, or emotional intimidation constantly. Instead of learning, understanding, and honesty, the child learns how to avoid consequences and emotional danger internally. A child raised in an extremely strict environment often feels unable to express thoughts or emotions freely. They may fear being judged, punished, dismissed, or criticized for mistakes, curiosity, or personal opinions repeatedly. Over time, honesty starts feeling emotionally risky, rather than safe within the family environment, psychologically. The child realizes hiding things creates less stress than telling the full truth openly to parents. Fear plays a major role in why strict parenting creates secrecy in children. When punishment feels intense or emotionally overwhelming, survival instincts begin shaping behavior inside the developing mind. The child becomes focused on avoiding punishment rather than understanding right and wrong in meaningful ways internally. Lying, hiding, and secrecy become protective strategies designed to reduce fear and emotional conflict at home. Children also need emotional safety to develop open communication with parents, naturally. If every mistake leads to anger, shame, yelling, or harsh consequences, vulnerability becomes dangerous emotionally. The child learns that honesty may lead to emotional pain instead of support, guidance, or understanding from caregivers. As a result, secrecy slowly becomes associated with emotional protection and psychological survival over time. Strict parents often mistake obedience for trust, but the two are not always the same psychologically. A child may appear extremely well-behaved while secretly hiding thoughts, emotions, mistakes, or personal struggles internally. The absence of open conflict does not necessarily mean emotional closeness or healthy communication truly exists underneath. Sometimes it simply means the child has learned silence feels safer than honesty emotionally. Teenagers raised under excessive control often become highly skilled at hiding parts of their lives. Because independence is restricted heavily, secrecy becomes one of the only ways they can experience personal freedom internally. The stricter the environment becomes, the more valuable privacy and hidden behavior may start feeling psychologically. The child begins building two identities, one shown to parents and another kept hidden from them completely. Another reason strict parenting creates secrecy is because children need space to explore identity naturally. Growing up involves questioning ideas, making mistakes, experimenting socially, and learning through personal experiences gradually. When parents control every detail of behavior, friendships, emotions, or decisions, the child feels psychologically trapped internally. Secrecy becomes a way to reclaim individuality and personal control over life experiences emotionally. Children raised in extremely strict households often struggle to talk openly about emotional problems. They may fear appearing weak, disappointing parents, or creating conflict by expressing difficult feelings honestly. Instead of asking for help, they learn to hide pain, anxiety, insecurity, or mistakes from others silently. The child protects themselves emotionally by becoming private about inner struggles and personal experiences over time. Harsh punishment can unintentionally teach children to become better at deception instead of becoming more responsible. If consequences feel terrifying or humiliating, survival becomes more important than honesty within the child's nervous system psychologically. The mind begins calculating how to avoid getting caught rather than how to grow from mistakes meaningfully. Fear changes the focus from learning to self-protection, emotionally and behaviorally. Strict parenting can also weaken emotional trust between parent and child over time. Trust grows when children believe they can make mistakes while still being emotionally accepted and supported consistently. But if love feels conditional upon obedience, perfection, or performance, the child becomes emotionally guarded internally. They stop sharing openly because vulnerability no longer feels safe within the relationship psychologically. Some children, raised with strict parenting, become excellent at hiding emotions entirely. They may suppress sadness, anger, fear, curiosity, or personal desires to avoid criticism or punishment repeatedly. Outwardly, they appear calm and controlled, but internally, they may feel isolated and emotionally misunderstood deeply. The habit of emotional secrecy can continue far into adulthood, relationships, and self-expression later in life. Strict households sometimes create children who become rebellious in secret, rather than responsible openly. Because normal curiosity and independence are heavily restricted, hidden behavior may become emotionally exciting or liberating psychologically. The child learns to separate public behavior from private behavior, as a survival strategy during development. Externally obedient children may secretly engage in behaviors parents never imagined, because honesty felt impossible emotionally. Children also learn communication patterns directly from parental behavior and emotional responses. If parents react with anger, shame, or immediate punishment instead of calm discussion, openness becomes emotionally dangerous internally. The child stops viewing parents as safe people for emotional guidance and honest conversation gradually over time. Instead, secrecy feels safer because it reduces emotional risk and protects personal freedom psychologically. Perfectionism often develops in children raised under extremely strict expectations. The child may feel intense pressure to avoid mistakes because errors lead to disappointment or emotional consequences repeatedly. As a result, they become terrified of failure and highly motivated to hide imperfections from parents completely. Secrecy grows because admitting mistakes feels emotionally threatening to identity and self-worth internally. Another effect of strict parenting is emotional distance between parents and children later in life. Adults who grew up hiding parts of themselves may struggle to feel emotionally close to controlling parents afterward. The relationship may remain polite externally, while lacking deep honesty, trust, and emotional openness underneath. Years of secrecy create habits of emotional protection that become difficult to fully undo psychologically. Some strict parents believe secrecy proves children are naturally dishonest or manipulative internally. But often the secrecy developed as an adaptation to environments where emotional honesty did not feel safe consistently. Children usually hide things more when they fear reactions rather than when they feel understood and supported emotionally. Fear-based control rarely creates genuine trust because trust cannot grow properly without emotional safety and openness. Healthy parenting balances guidance with emotional understanding, communication, and respect for individuality naturally. Children need boundaries, but they also need opportunities to speak honestly without constant fear of punishment or rejection. Mistakes should become moments for learning and connection, rather than only sources of shame or emotional threat. When children feel emotionally safe, they are far more likely to communicate openly and seek guidance willingly. This does not mean children should have no rules, discipline, or accountability while growing up. Structure is important because it helps children develop responsibility, safety, and emotional stability during development. But discipline works best when combined with trust, empathy, listening, and emotional security inside the relationship. Children learn honesty more deeply through connection than through fear alone psychologically. Why strict parenting can create secretive kids ultimately comes down to the relationship between fear and emotional safety. When children fear judgment, punishment, or rejection constantly, secrecy becomes a tool for self-protection and survival internally. The child hides parts of themselves not because they hate parents, but because honesty stopped feeling emotionally safe. Real trust grows when children know they can be truthful without losing love, understanding, or emotional connection completely.